So we're in chapter 5, Expect an Abundance, and we're starting our reading today from the story on Pat and John. As I was writing these lines, I received a telephone call from a beautiful couple, Pat and John, whom I would definitely number among my close friends. They called to tell me they were moving into their new home the following Tuesday, and I was elated to hear this delightful news. You see, less than 2 months earlier, I spent approximately 5 hours talking with them about the image making concept and the awesome power of the expectant attitude. During the course of the conversation, I asked John what he wanted more than anything else in the world. And after a long period of silence, he looked me squarely in the eye and said, I would like Pat, Tony, Pat's daughter, and me to be in our own house by Christmas, and I would like my son to spend Christmas Day with us. Although John's son lives with his mother, he and John have a very warm relationship. I then asked him why he didn't just go out and make his dream become a reality. He replied he couldn't, because he lacked the money to do so. I then had the audacity to remind John that all things are possible for those who believe, and therefore he definitely could make his dream come true. Perhaps he just didn't know how to go about it. The three of us then spent about an hour discussing the kind of house they wanted, until we all had a very clear image of their dream home etched upon the screens of our minds. We talked about expectation, and I explained to them that many good things would begin to happen for them the instant they began to expect to be in their house by Christmas. Sure enough, the first thing that happened to them, once this new attitude permeated their consciousness, was that both their minds moved over to the how-to side of the ledger. New ideas began to flow like water, and questions came forth in rapid succession. How much would a house like that cost? How much would they have to put down? Where would they find such a house? To get answers to their question, they needed the expertise of a real estate agent. I suggested John call Natalie Copman, a lady I know who is a real estate professional, and tell her of his dream. He should ask her what he would need in the way of finances to make this dream or image become a reality. Finally, I told him he would have to get busy focusing all his conscious attention on earning the amount of money he would need to achieve his goal, and he would actually have to expect to earn whatever the amount was, and in the allotted time. Surprisingly, it turned out that the amount of money they required was far less than the figure they had previously thought it would be. Moreover, since John and Pat are both commissioned salespeople, their road to achieving this financial goal was not riddled with as many obstacles as is the road for many other people. Nevertheless, without going into detail about the many hurdles they did have to overcome, suffice it to say, with Natalie's help, Pat and John succeeded. I love the little story behind this story before I continue, as Bob tells it. He says, he called Natalie Copman and he said, Natalie, I've got a couple of live ones for you here. They want to buy a house and they've got no money. And I just love the way he recounts that story. I got a couple of live ones for you. They want to buy a house and they've got no money. But this is the power of making a decision. Once you make a decision and you expect to receive whatever it is that you want, everything starts to shift for you. There are things that you wish for right now, that you desire for right now, that you even want right now. But the fact is, you actually have not made a committed decision to do it, to get it, to receive it. And nothing of any consequence can begin to flow to you until you've made that committed decision. Once that decision is made, you flip your mind literally from how it can't happen and all the reasons why it can't to how you will do it. Because that committed decision cuts you off from any other outcome except receiving and creating what it is that you want, which is exactly what Pat and John did. right? They needed a coach or a mentor to help them see that they could have what they want and to work through the process of imaging and creating an expectant attitude. And none of that became relevant until they made the decision that they were going to do it and they were going to get it. So committed decisions are the difference between failure and success. It's the difference between you winning and living the life of freedom that you know you really want to and falling short every time. A decision and a committed decision will be the difference for everything in your life. Let's keep going here. Next Tuesday, they move into their new house. Next Saturday is Christmas Day. How many of you watching this right now would love to perhaps move into a new home or live in a different sort of house? Or maybe you have a goal to build a dream house. I'd love to know, just out of interest, who watching this right now has a goal similar to John and Pat? You'd love to build a dream home or move to a different home or upgrade your home, or comment on the thread and let me know. Just before I hung up the receiver, I congratulated them on their new home and I asked John if his son would be spending Christmas Day with them. Quietly, but with a voice brimming over with happiness, he answered, "Yes, he is. And it sure makes a difference when you expect what you do want rather than expecting what you don't want, doesn't it, Bob?" Let me read that sentence again because I want you to think about this. It sure makes a difference when you expect what you do want rather than expecting what you don't want, doesn't it? Right? So you want to expect what you want rather than expecting what you don't want. And you expect that maybe I won't get it. Maybe I won't get the money together. Maybe it can't happen for me. But what if you just started to expect that you're going to get what you want and you move into action and bring your thoughts and mind into harmony with what it is that you want? Everything begins to change for you. I just smiled and said, "Yes, John, it sure does." Many people today live their entire lives on the basis of seeing is believing. So if I can't see it, it's not true. That's basically what he's saying there. This is to say the only images they get emotionally involved with are the ones they can discern with their physical senses. This is like being so earthbound, it's crazy. You have these God-given, incredible mental faculties within you that you can use in varying degrees and proportions that'll bring you anything you truly desire, and yet you're stuck on the physical plane using your senses to create the life, which means that you are just working with such a tiny amount of what you could be working with to create better results in your life. But the individuals of real vision, I think it was Helen Keller said something along the lines of, I may not have sight, but my vision is stronger than ever, because she still had imagination and she understood this, that you can use your mental faculties to create your reality. In fact, that's the point of all creation, is through your mental faculties. And the outside world, your physical world, merely exhibits what the inside creates. The creative principle is always on the inside. And if you're not working from the creative principle, you're never going to be creating exactly what you want. So it's imperative that you become very diligent and very invested in working from the inside out. The individuals of real vision down through the ages have always known the overriding principle is what you see is what you get. Expressed somewhat differently, what this means is that the images in people's minds actually precede the concrete images which pervade our material world. Therefore, you should be aware of the fact that the fascinating physical world we see before us, with all of its conveniences for making our lives more comfortable, have been built largely by image makers, men and women of vision, who knew what they could do and expected everything else to fall into place, regardless of what their critics might say to the contrary. For example, two young mechanics from Ohio introduced us to an entirely new kingdom by holding an image of an airplane in flight. But if they had not expected to succeed, they would surely have quit the first time they met with defeat. Since they did not, in fact, we can even reach other planets within a very short span of time. Edison built and held an image which illuminated the entire world, and as a result, we no longer need to spend half of our days groping in darkness. You should realize that you too can change your world, just as John and Pat did by building an image in your mind of exactly the way you would like to live. But always remember, you will only receive what you truly expect, not what you only wish for. So what did we say earlier in this chapter? Desire and expectation. They must come together for you to receive what you want. There are 3 certain steps for achieving prosperity in all areas of your life. Number 1, build the image in your mind. Number 2, turn it over to Spirit. Let go and let God. Number 3, expect with all your heart and soul that Spirit will reward you openly with your faith. Wow, there's a whole seminar in that last paragraph for you to understand how to build an image in your mind, how to turn it over to Spirit, and then how to expect with all your heart and soul and have faith that you're going to receive what you want. I would love to spend more time with this on you, with that part of this book, going through that with you, but we'll do that another day. So that is the wrap up of chapter 5, an amazing little chapter there for you to review and go back over. What are you expecting? What sort of images are you holding in the deepest part of your mind? What is your self-talk? Are you expecting what you want, or are you expecting to fail or get the same results time and time again? Or are you expecting things to be different? It's the inner images, it's the images in the deepest part of your mind that are going to control your results. And if you don't learn how to create change there, then nothing of significance is going to change. So start by thinking about what you really want. Get clear on the picture of what you really want and expect to receive it with all of your heart and soul, and have faith in knowing. Tomorrow we're going to be studying chapter 6, the law of vibration and attraction. On that note, I'm Karen Brook, and I'll talk to you again soon.